Grandson of World War II pilot finds answers in his crashed plane hidden in the mountains. They'd been searching for his grandpa for more than 50 years now. They looked at every record available and didn't leave any stone unturned. He was almost losing hope. His family would never get the closure they deserved. But one night, he received a phone call that changed everything. World War II cost the Dumphy family sleepless nights for 75 years. What many consider a significant historical event was an endless nightmare for this family. For more than half a century, the Dumphys searched for the remains of their grandpa, Jacob. He was a pilot in the war who'd been announced missing in action. The Dumphys almost gave up until Jacob's grandson, Nathan, discovered something. Nathan grew up with stories of his grandpa. Inspired and determined to follow his grandpa's footsteps, he powered through school into the U.S. Air Force. A captain of the Air Force, Nathan's tours worldwide made him crave giving his family closure. With this in mind, he began digging around, looking for anything that would end their 75-year-long nightmare. Nathan visited his grandma Cheryl that week with the news. Cheryl's eyes grew wet. She told Nathan about the pain she'd gone through trying to uncover what happened to her husband. But she was proud that he was looking into the case. Perhaps as an officer in the force, he would have better luck than she. Nathan saw tears bloom in his grandma's eyes and knew he couldn't fail. He'd opened up old wounds in his family. The only way he'd heal them was if he unearthed the truth behind Jacob's disappearance. With this in mind, he began calling in favors wherever he could. He collected all the World War II records at his disposal and started his search. Hidden among those pages was the truth about Jacob's death. Nathan's search led him to two critical findings. First, his grandpa had been cleared from duty only to be called back at the last minute. Cheryl always talked about Jacob being a giving man with a good heart. Reading the records now, Nathan saw the truth in her words. His grandpa had been asked to spear a top-secret emergency mission, and he'd stepped up. Nathan also discovered the type of planes Jacob and his squadron flew in their mission. They were assigned Grumman Hellcat bombers, a favorite aircraft among the Allies. Nathan knew his grandpa was an expert pilot. It was odd that Jacob and two other seasoned pilots were declared missing in action at the end of their mission. The Dumphy family had dedicated decades to finding Jacob. What started with Cheryl and Nathan's great-grandparents was now in Nathan's hands. He acquired maps and mission objectives with the clearance that came with his position. He studied the flying routes his grandpa flew 75 years past. He knew he was close to finding out what truly happened. Nathan dug deeper, discovering fatalities in his grandpa's squadron beyond enemy lines. But the reports failed to pinpoint where exactly the fatalities took place. Nathan learned Jacob's mission was successful. Jacob himself confirmed the news through radio before being commanded to return to base. That was the last time he made contact with his base. Nathan had been researching for weeks now, digging deeper into his grandpa's last mission. Although he managed to learn where the mission took place, he soon hit a wall. Everything else about the mission was classified. Nathan tried to call in favors from his buddies in the force, but they couldn't do anything. Disappointed, Nathan called off the search and went to share the heartbreaking news with his grandma. He had no idea what was waiting for him. Nathan flew to his grandma's that night. He found his cousins, uncles, and aunts waiting with Cheryl. "What did you find?" Cheryl asked, her eyes bright with anticipation. "A lot," Nathan said. He was about to fill his family in on his discoveries when his phone rang. It was one of his military buddies. He excused himself, hoping this was good news. "Can I get a laptop?" Nathan almost cried out. One of his cousins ran for one, and Nathan sat down. He couldn't believe what his friend had shared with him. "What are you looking for?" Cheryl asked, no doubt alarmed by the sudden change in her grandson. "I might have found something, Gran," Nathan answered. He logged onto YouTube, and his jaw almost dropped. 3 Hellcats were lost during Grandpa's last operation, Nathan said. He shared the YouTube video with his family. This crash site matches the location and attack route of the operation. Nathan saw hope bloom in his grandma's eyes for the first time in decades. He felt the energy radiating within her and knew he needed to do more. Nathan reached out to the man who uploaded the video. He told him his family story, and the man graciously invited him to his home, which was close to the crash site. Nathan and his family traveled to Finland that same week, meeting Floki, who took them to the site. Nathan couldn't believe what they found. Jacob's Hellcat bomber was almost in good condition. Floki informed Nathan that the plane surfaced out of the ground after years' worth of snow began melting. There was a man inside, Floki shared. We buried him in the army cemetery just outside town. He shared a World War II legend from this region about a pilot who, instead of ejecting from his flaming plane, steered it away from a refugee camp, saving countless lives.